Hello world, I'm Vijay and today I'm going to help you get started with Git and GitHub. Okay, before we actually dive into all the different features and uses of Git and GitHub, let us first understand what GitHub or Git actually is. Okay, so what is GitHub? GitHub is actually nothing but a code hosting platform that helps you collaborate with your friends or literally anyone else from all around the world on any project. Okay, since it helps you host code for free online, it's actually a key platform for open source developers. That is, you can find a large variety of different projects on various different languages hosted on the cloud for free. Okay, so basically, now that you know what GitHub actually is, let us understand what Git is. So GitHub actually uses Git. Okay, Git is actually the most popular open source version control software. So what is version control software? Okay, version control software is used to track every contribution and contributor to your project. So you know exactly where every line of code came from. That is, if you or your friend are collaborating on a project together and you both make different changes to the project, you would know exactly at what time and what different changes you or your friend made. That way, it creates a unified platform for both of you to work on a project without actually conflicting each other's work. Okay, so now that you know what Git and GitHub is, I think I'll explain about what we are going to be doing in this session. Okay, so in this session, we'll be learning to create a local Git repository and then committing changes to your local Git repository, also pushing these changes to your cloud base, that is to your GitHub repository, okay, on the cloud. Okay, and then we'll also be learning about branching, and then finally contributing to open source, that is creating your first pull request. Okay, so now that you know about what we're going to be doing in this session, I think it's time we start. Okay, so before we actually entirely dive into Git, the first you need to know a few basic CMD commands. Okay, I'm currently on Windows, so I'll be using CMD. Okay, so we'll be learning about CMD. Okay, like I said, so what you can see is I'm currently on my D drive, and in D drive I have a folder called OSC, and this is my current directory. So if I want to go to this directory, okay, now if some of you are wondering what directory is actually nothing but just a folder. That's basically what directory is. Okay, so now if you see, I'm currently in my C drive on my CMD. Now I want to direct myself to this OSC folder. Okay, so how do I do that? So first thing you need to know is that I'm in a different drive entirely. I'm in C drive on my console and I'm in D drive on this folder. So if I want to go to D drive, I just type D drive. So now this changes my drive to D. Okay, now if I type CD and then OSC, because that's the name of the folder, I'm currently inside my OSC folder. Okay, now if you can see, I have this folder called hello world. Okay, now to see what are all the different folders I have inside this directory, I just type dir, and you can see that I have this folder hello world. Okay, so basically if I want to go, so now I'll enter hello world. Okay, so right now I'm inside my hello world folder. Inside this folder, it's currently empty. Okay, now if I want to go back one folder, I type cd dot. Now I'm back one folder. Okay, so I'm currently right here. So if you want to create a new folder, you can type mkdir and then your folder name. So let's say the folder name will be OSC VIT-AP, and you can see that I have created a new folder called OSC VIT-AP. If you want to delete the folder, it's rmdir and then the folder name, so OSC VIT-AP, and then you can see that the folder has been deleted. So if you want to create a new file, just type this echo and then use greater than symbol arrows, and then you just type the file name. So file name, let's say osc.txt. okay, you can see that there's a txt osc.txt file here, and that's how you create a file, create a folder, change a directory. These are some of the basic CMD commands. If you want to learn more, you can just Google it up. Okay, okay, I guess now it's time we get started with Git. Alright, next up we have Git. So we need to first install, that is download and install Git on your Windows computer. On Linux and Mac it comes pre-built. Okay, only on Windows you'll have to press this download button, and then latest version of Git will be downloaded. Just install Git. Okay, just keep pressing next. Installation is not that hard. Okay, once you have Git installed on your system, if you want to check if you have Git installed on your system, just open your console and type git version. Okay, if this shows up, that means you have Git installed on your local PC. That's it. Okay, so now that you have Git successfully installed on your computer, let us get started. Okay, so first thing you'll need to do is initialize a repository. So some of you might wonder what a repository is, right? So repository is actually nothing but a folder which Git monitors. What git monitors basically means is that git monitors every single change you make to the folder. Okay, so right now I'm in this folder called OSC. Right now what I want to do is it's actually a normal folder. It has nothing special. It's not a git repository. Now if I want to change this OSC folder into my git repository, what I do is I go to that directory. Okay, so right now it's in D drive and cd OSC. Right now I'm inside this folder. Now I want to convert this directory into a repository. So what I do is I use this command called git init. Now what this did is it initialized an empty git repository. So right now this folder has become an repository. So some of you might wonder, well, nothing changed in this folder, it's still empty, right? Well, if you want to view the changes it made, click on view and then head over to click on view, find hidden items. Now you can see that there's a folder called .git. Inside this .git you'll find all the different changes, and everything you make will be saved inside this .git folder. That is, Git is currently monitoring all the changes you make into this folder. That's it. Alright, so now that we have a repository, let us first learn about committing changes. Okay, so let me open my console. Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create multiple files. Okay, so I'll call this as one.txt. It's one.txt, so I'll name this as, I'll put hello world inside this. Okay, I'll create another file. I'll create another file called 2, and then I'll just add some random data into it. Okay, so right now I have two different files in this. Okay, now if I want to know the status of the repository, I just type git status, and you can see the two different files over here are being untracked. Okay, so what you need to know about commit is, okay, now imagine you are playing a game. Okay, now at some point of the game you want to save the game, right, to save all your progress so far. Now what you basically do is you save the changes. Now later on you think, okay, I want to actually play this game in a different way. So what you do is you load up back from the point where you saved the game, and then you continue playing it in a different way. That's exactly what git commit does. Git commit saves a version of all the files you have and then saves it. So anytime you want, you can go back to the previous version. So if you actually want a real-time example for this, imagine you're working on a project, say web development, okay, and say you built a website with your navbar on the left side, okay, and then you save it and then show it to your client, and then your client is like, I actually don't want it on my left side, I actually want it on the right side. So you're like, all right, okay, fine. So what you do is you again work on it, and then this time you change all the settings to the right side. Okay, again you show it to the client, and the client is like, I like it on the right side, but I actually think I prefer it much more on the left side. If you do not have Git, you would once again have to rewrite all the code and again move the entire thing to the left side. But if you have Git, all you need to do is just revert back to the change when everything was towards the left side, and that's it. So basically what it does is it just creates a save point for all your work. That's exactly what you're going to do right now. So the thing is, before you commit a file, okay, before you commit a file, that is before you add a file to your version control, you need to first track the file. Okay, to do that you do git add and the file name will be one.txt. So if I type git status right now, you can find that this file is currently ready to be committed and this is not ready to be committed. Okay, so what happens is if I commit my change right now, only this file will be tracked and this file won't be tracked. So any changes I make in this file will not be reflected on my future versions. Okay, so if you want to add all the files to your if you want to monitor all the files, just type git add dot, or you can type git add hyphen capital A. Now all the files are being monitored, so you can type git status and you can see this. Alright, now that both our files are ready to be committed, let us commit. Okay, so to commit, this is the command, git commit hyphen m double quotations. Now inside the quotations you are going to be typing the message for your commit. The message is basically going to describe the changes you made for the commit. So what changes did I make? Okay, added two files, and that's it. You have committed. So if I type git status, you can see that I have committed all the files, and you can see that my working tree is currently clean. Okay, alright, now suppose I make a change to one of these files. Okay, suppose I add these exclamation marks here and I say, okay, now this is the change I'm making this file. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, now if I type git status here, you can see that one of my file is modified here. That is, I have made a change to this file. Okay, now I'll show you, now let me show you an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit my change. I'm going to first add this and I'm going to commit this change. Okay, okay, so I have committed my change. Now if I type git status, you can see that I have nothing to commit right now. Now what I have basically done is I've created a file, I've created a save point, and then again I made a change, and then I created a second commit. Okay, now alright, so right now I have two different save points, right? So if I open the files file and I can see this thing. Now if I want to go back and check out what happened or what I did in my first commit, that is you know what I did in my first commit, right? That is without all this content. So if I want to go back there, I'm just going to type git log one line, and this is going to show the log, that is the history of all the commits I've made so far. And if I want to go back to this commit, I'm just going to copy this commit code and type git checkout and then paste this commit code. So 53A9DF. Oh, and you can see this file has been modified by another program. Do you want to reload it? If I press yes, you can see that I have made changes. That is, I am back to this version. That is, if I type git status, you can see that I'm currently in this version of this file. Okay, now if I want to go back, I can just type git checkout master git status, and you can see that I'm back here. Alright, now that you know everything about Git, let us come to GitHub. Okay, now let us learn about hosting your project on the cloud. So first thing what you need to do is you need to first create your own GitHub account. So just head over to sign up and then just fill in all the details, and you can easily create your own GitHub account. Once you have created your GitHub account, go to your profile, click on repositories, and then click on new. Now you need to create a new repository. Let me just name this repository as stem. Just gonna name this stem. You can decide to keep it public or private. I'm just gonna keep this repository as private. It's best if you add a readme file. Okay, I'll tell you more about readme file later on. Okay, now you just click on create repository. Okay. So right now you have this repository on your cloud. Now if you want this repository down on your local system, what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on this and then copy this code. Copy this. Okay, you're just gonna copy this and then open whichever directory you want to paste it, cmd there, and I'm going to type git clone. That's the command, git clone, and then you paste the code that you copied. That is, you paste this code, paste this code. Okay, now it's just cloning the repository. Okay, and it's done. You have the repository on your local system, the exact same things, readme.md, readme.md. Now suppose let me just create a text file here. Okay, okay, so I have this text file right here in my repository, in my local repository. If I want this if I want the changes made in this local repository to be reflected on my cloud, on GitHub as well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first commit the change. Okay, so like I said, first commit the change, git commit. Okay, so you can see that I have nothing else to be committed right now. Now if I want to they itself told me here, if I want to push from my local commits onto the cloud, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type git push. Okay, the changes are being made. Now what happened is this file has been, the commit made in this local system has been pushed to the cloud, GitHub. Now if I refresh this page, you can see this, I have this file hello world.txt, and you can see that I have the changes made here, exact same changes. Okay, so that is about pushing your changes. Okay, now suppose if I make a change here, suppose say I edit this, then I say I commit a change directly on GitHub. Okay, so right now I have a change here, but this change is not here, is not that here, right? Like I have only temp here, this change is not shown here. So if I want the up change, that is if I want to get the changes made on the cloud down to my local system, I just type git pull, and you can see that you can see that the change is made. So what we learned right now was git push to change to push all the local changes onto your cloud, and git pull to get all the changes made on the cloud back to your local system. Alright, let us learn about branching in Git right now. Okay, so what is branching? Okay, now suppose say you have you're working on a say you worked on a project and you completed the project. Okay, that is, you completed a version of the project. Now what you want to do is you want to add a feature to the feature to the project. But what if the feature you're adding is going to modify the program in a way that might break the program? Okay, and then suddenly you're not able to do any of the changes. That is, you again try reverting back to a previous stage, and it creates a lot of problems. Okay, that is why Git has this special feature called branching. So what this branching basically does is copies the entire source code and creates a separate copy, a safe copy for you to work on all the changes. And once you work on it and find a perfect feature, that is, once you're completely done with your feature, then you can finally merge it back to the master branch. That is, suppose, just look at this. Okay, suppose this is the stage in which you are done with the project, and now you want to add a feature. So what you do is you branch it from here, and then you work on all the different commits. Okay, once you're done with the commit, you create a pull request. That is, in GitHub, what you do is you create a pull request. Once you do a pull request, all the other people who are working on the project are going to discuss with you. They're going to discuss the different changes. Like, say, I like this change, but I hope like you can change this a little bit more here. And then once you listen to all the different inputs, you finally merge it back to the master. So now what happens is, from this stage to this stage, you have added a feature. That is exactly what is branching. Okay, now I'll show you how to branch in Git. So first thing what you're going to do is you're going to open your console. First thing, you need to create a branch. Okay, so for that you do git branch, and then you type the name of the branch. So suppose I'm going to create a branch name temp. Okay, so right now I've created a branch name temp. If you want to see what are all the branches you have right now, you type git branch A. So these are all the branches I have, and the remotes are actually the branches present in the cloud. That is, the branches here present within the cloud. Okay, now if I okay, so right now I'm in the master branch, right? Like the star that points is the master is the branch in which you are. Now if I want to go to the temp branch, I'm going to type git checkout temp. So right now I'm in the temp branch. Okay, now if I type this, exact same changes made in the master branch is here. Now if I type git checkout, now let me first make a change in this temp branch. Okay, so suppose I'm going to make a change here. Hello there. Okay, so this is the change I make. So if I type git status, you can see that I have modified this file. So let me add and commit this change. Okay, now if I type git status, you can see that there's nothing to commit, and that the working tree is clean on branch temp. Now if I switch back to the master branch, git checkout master branch, you can see that on the master branch there's actually nothing but only hey there. Only hey there is there on the master branch. Now if I come back to the temp branch, you can see that this is actually there in the temp branch. So now you can see that there is actually a difference between the two different branches. That is, this is a feature I've added in the temp branch which is not there in the master branch. Now if I think I'm done with all the changes I've made in the temp branch and I actually want to merge these changes, all that I have to do is git merge. The first thing I need to do is I need to go back to the master branch. So git checkout master. Right now I'm in the master branch. You can see that here. See, I'm back in the master branch. Now if I type git merge and then the branch name, I have merged the branch. Now if you click here, I am currently in the master branch. Like, wait, let me show you. Git status, currently on branch master, and the changes in the temp has been saved onto your master branch. This is exactly what has happened. For a more clear view, let me show you. If I push these changes, okay, git push. If I push these changes to the cloud, to GitHub. So let me refresh the page. If I go to commits, you can see that I have these changes. This is the initial commit I made, and then this is the hello world. these are the changes I've made, right, to the master branch. Now the thing is, if I want to push a branch, so if you can see that there's only master branch on the cloud, right, like git branch A, you can see that the temp branch is only local, it's not present on the cloud. If I want to push this temp branch also to the cloud, what you need to do is I need to git push origin temp. Now you can see that there are two branches. There's actually a master branch and there's a temp branch. If I press temp branch, you can see all the different changes I've made here. So that is all about branching. You can so what we learned was, we learned to create a branch, we learned to create a branch, we learned to switch between branches, and we also learned how to merge branches. Okay, this is basically all about branching. Alright then, so we are finally in the last stage of this entire session, and finally what we are going to do is contribute to open source. So what is open source? Open source is actually nothing but free and open software where you have access to the source code which you can view and modify for your own needs, right? So what I'm going to do is, so there's this repository, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own changes and submit a pull request for this repository. Okay, so to do this, what you need to first do is fork it. So I'm currently in this repository. You can see this fork option, you click on it and then you fork it. 1 second. Yeah, so right now the repository is being forked. Alright, so now the repository is forked. So what forking actually means is, I am creating a copy of the source code for my own uses. That is, if I'm supposed to work on a change, or if I'm giving a suggestion or adding a feature to the already existing software, I am creating a copy of the source code, making all the changes I want, and then submitting a pull request. That is exactly what forking is. So that's exactly what I've done. Like, if you head over to my profile, you can head over to my repository, you can see that I have a copy of that repository on my own profile. That is exactly what forking means. Now if I want to submit my change, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this repository first. Okay, so git clone. Okay, so now I have cloned this repository. I have a version of this repository on my local system. Now let us read what we can do about what we have to do in this repository. Okay, so first they ask us to fork this repository, then clone the repository. Next they're asking us to create a new branch. Okay, so let us create a new branch. Git branch and then the branch name. So I'm going to name this branch as temp. Now if you can see, git branch A. So I have a temp branch. Okay, now I'm going to check out that branch. Git checkout temp. So right now I am in the temp branch. Okay, so they asked us to create a branch and check out to that branch. Now what they have asked us to do is contribute. So they want us to head over to contributors folder and create our own .json file. So let's do that. Alright, so let us create a .json file here. Okay, VIT-AP.json. Right, and done. Now what you're going to do here is, let's just copy the template which they already have. Okay, now our GitHub username, so that would be OSC VIT-AP. Okay, that would be okay, I'm just going to leave it like that. So what we have done is we have essentially created an JSON file here. That's what they have asked us to do, right, in contribute section. Now once we are done, they ask us to commit the change. So let's do that. Let us commit the changes. So git add git commit. Okay, add it myself. Git status. and we have committed the change. Next they're asking us to update the local repository. So what updating the local repository, what they mean by this is that if many people work on a project at the same time and they send a pull request and it's merged to the master branch, it is essentially not the same as the master branch we currently have in our local repository. So this updating the local repository prevents merge conflicts. So that's exactly what we are going to do now. So I'm just going to copy that. So git remote. So what git remote add upstream basically does is it tells git that the branch, that the repository I have poked from is actually this repository, is actually the original repository I poked from this repository. Okay, now let us sync git fetch upstream, git checkout master, and now we are going to essentially merge if there is any change between the upstream and the local branch, and everything is up to date. Now that everything is up to date, it is time for us to push our changes. So let us push by git push and then origin and then the branch name, so temp. So our temporary branch is being pushed and done. So if I refresh this page back, you can see that I have two branches, and if I switch to the temp branch, you can see that the changes I've made is added myself. Like here you can see that I've added myself. So now what have they asked us to do? Once we have the branch on the cloud, and they are asking us to send them a pull request. So you can see that they're asked compare and pull request. So you just press that. I did myself. Okay. So now they are asking us to fill in this form. So let's fill this up. If you just add an X, it ticks the box. So that's it. Okay. So once you have filled the form, you can click on preview to see how your responses look like. Once you're done, you can just click on create a pull request, and you're done. The changes you have made will be published on, and the maintainers of this repository can see and merge your pull request. So if they have completed, if they check and review your pull request, and if it matches that code of conduct and all the different rules that they have set, they will merge your pull request. That's it. That is how you contribute to any repository online on GitHub. You fork the repository first, clone your version of the repository, and then you switch to a different branch, make all the changes you want, commit the changes, push the branch up to the cloud, and once you're done, you can just create your own pull request. And that's it. That is how you contribute to open source. That's it. We have reached the end of the session. Thanks for staying so long.